Hi, I'm Freak Boy, and welcome to Freak Boy Runs. Got kind of low light conditions right now. It's not that it's so early in the morning, it's just that it's getting late in the year. It's only maybe about 7:10 a.m. but it's late October, so sorry about the low light. I just wanted to get started on this video because I realized recently that it might be a good idea to do a series leading up to the Dallas Marathon. And so this will be the first of that series. I'm about 7 weeks out from the marathon right now. As of Sunday, it'll be exactly 7 weeks. And that might be a long time to some, but it's gonna go by really quick. And it's not that much overall in terms of my overall training cycle this time around. Was 27 weeks, or it will be 27 weeks by the time I'm finished. So I've already completed 20 weeks of my training. And this week was the third week of the first build block. I did 4 base blocks, which was about 8 weeks longer of training than is actually prescribed in the plan that I'm doing. But I really wanted to train through the hot summer months and see what kind of advantage I could gain out of that. And the results of that are still to be determined, but it's looking pretty good. On this third week of this build block that I'm just finishing, speed work is getting pretty intense. It's the Kipchoge, it's supposed to be Kipchoge track sessions. I actually do them in the park. And the Kipchoge fartleks sessions, which are brutal. But I did finish both of those this week. And in fact, I haven't missed a running session through this entire training cycle. So I'm quite proud of that so far, and hope I can keep that up through the end of the cycle. But coming this weekend, I'll do an 18-mile long run. I think it's going to be really dark in here, so I really do apologize about the light now. But I run an 18-mile long run coming up this weekend. Within that 18-mile long run, I'll have 4-kilometer hot spots where I do for 4 kilometers at a time. I run at marathon pace. And so I've been doing a lot of marathon pace type of training and slightly faster now that I'm into the build blocks. But I just want to talk a little bit more detail about the speed work and about the long runs and about what's left to come. The Kipchoge track session this week was first, of course, a couple of miles for warm-up, but then, and forgive me, I mix miles and kilometers in my discussion here because I do track all of my sessions in miles, but my workouts are prescribed in kilometers. So hopefully anybody watching this is bilingual between miles and kilometers. But after that couple mile warm up, then the session was 2 kilometers at marathon pace, followed by a 3rd kilometer running 10 seconds faster than marathon pace, and that's 10 seconds per kilometer faster. And then after those 3 kilometers, a 2-minute break, just jogging in zone 2 and zone 1 if I could get there. And that was repeated 4 times. And all of the speed work lately, I've been just getting this. I never really dread speed work. I do enjoy it, and I kind of look forward to it. But oftentimes now, when I start, I just feel like this is just too fast. I'm never going to be able to keep this up. And I just hang on, and somehow it tends to get better, and I make it through. And that happened this week in the Kipchoge track session. I really didn't think I was going to be able to keep going, especially after I did in that first rep the 3rd kilometer 10 seconds faster. Man, I was like, how can I do this? And how can I do this for 42 kilometers? But that's what the training's for. You get used to the idea of feeling that way, and you're building yourself stronger. So by the time I get to the marathon, given that I'll have had a taper leading up to it, it's not going to feel nearly so bad. And that's also one of the reasons for throwing in the portions that are faster than marathon pace, is so that when you're used to running that hard and then you go back to marathon pace, it feels a lot easier. And so at the end of the day, that speed session, I was able to compare to 2 previous times that I've done it in the past little less than a year, probably about 10 months, I guess. It's the 3rd time I've done it, and it was significantly faster than the previous times. So that gives me some confidence leading up to the marathon. The Kipchoge fartleks are a bit of a different beast, and for anyone that isn't familiar with the term fartlek, it's a type of session, interval session, where you vary your speed. Funny sounding word, but a very effective method of training. And in fartleks you can do all kinds of different types, where you just vary the paces all over the place, or you can do them in a more prescribed fashion, which is what I'm doing as part of these sessions. And they build, the first week of this build block, they were 1 minute running in zone 2, so comfortable pace, and then 1 minute running in zone 4, so a pretty stiff pace. And then that was repeated 32 times in that first session, first week of the build block. Then the second week, it was 1 minute in zone 2 and then 2 minutes in zone 4. And that was repeated 24 times. And then just this past week, in fact yesterday, for the third one, it was 1 minute in zone 2 followed by 3 minutes in zone 4, and then I repeated that 15 times. And that was hard. That was really hard. I find the fartlek sessions to be the most difficult of all of the sessions, including, I think, even the long runs. Call me crazy, but I really look forward to long runs, and I really tend to enjoy the long runs. Sometimes they suck, but for the most part, I really like long runs. You might be able to hear that hawk calling. I'm not sure if that'll get picked up on the mic of the camera, but there's hawks around here all the time. Every once in a while, I can capture one on camera. But anyways, back to the fartleks. It was another case where after the first few repeats, I just thought there's no way I'm gonna get through 15 of these. But I just kept at it, and I don't know if my body numbs after some time or what it is, but I was able to keep speeding up throughout a little bit, and ran the fastest 3 or 4 were at the very end, and the fastest, 1 minute, 3 minute little repeat was the very last one. So I always like to try and finish strong like that, and I was able to again yesterday. So I'm feeling a few kind of aches and pains here and there. Nothing more than what we might call a niggle. I think my body's holding up pretty well so far, knock on wood. And looking forward to that long run this Sunday. Here now on my last run of the week, which is my long run. This is going to be an 18-mile long run, and I probably won't video much, or really maybe even at all, throughout the long run, because I'm going to be wanting to focus on my pace and focus on my fueling and other practice race items like that. So all these long runs for the rest of my training block really serve to allow me to practice all the things I'm going to need to do on race day. And so today's run, being 18 miles, we'll have 12 kilometers worth of hot spots where I run at marathon pace. 12 kilometers, that's about 7.5 miles. And then at the end, just for the last 2 kilometers, I'm going to pick it up. I'll probably go at least race pace, if not faster. If I've got good energy, then I'm going to try and finish really strong. So that's going to be what this long run looks like today. And I'll see you probably on the other side. Got her done. 18-mile long run, 29-ish kilometers, I guess. Went pretty well. I'm pretty pleased. Had a couple of little aches and pains here and there, but nothing too serious, and nothing that lasted for any length of time. So you kind of par for the course, especially at this point of a marathon training cycle. So by performance, I'm pretty happy with. Even my, the idea with the hot spots is when you're not running the hot spots, the first 5 kilometers was just easy pace. So that's, kind of low zone 2. And right now my low zone 2 pace is right around where my marathon pace was about a year ago. So that's good. And then my marathon pace, it varied a little bit. I wasn't as consistent as I would like to be, but that'll come. I did probably, and I was measuring them in kilometers, so sorry about the mixed kilometers and miles terminology here, but the first set of 4 kilometers I did mostly around 4 minutes and 40 per kilometer. So that's, I guess around 7 minutes and 35 per mile pace. And that's about where I want to be, but I think the range there was 438 to 442. Not terrible. Really, I shouldn't be complaining probably. Then the second block of 4 kilometer hotspot, I did, I think, a little bit faster. I think I averaged, I don't know, I'm kind of a little bit guessing now from memory. It's hard to memorize them all when there's so many of them, but I think it's probably closer to 439 per kilometer. And then the last set of 4, I think I was probably around the same, but I think the 4th of those was fastest. Then I broke the rules a little bit. I ran 3 kilometers easy after that last 4 kilometer hot spot, and that left me with about 3 kilometers that was supposed to be all easy going into complete the 18 miles. But as I am wont to do, I finished it strong, and I did probably mile 17 at maybe like 7:45 pace, 7:40 pace, which is actually close to marathon pace. And then I just kind of pretty close to drop the hammer on mile 18, and I ran it in 7 minutes flat. So, I don't know if I completely emptied the tank, but I gave it most of what I had left, and it felt pretty good. Probably could have gone a little bit faster, but there's no point in injuring myself. I just wanted to finish strong, and a 7-minute mile is my 18th mile. That felt pretty good. So that's all the hard stuff out of the build one part of the training cycle, and now I've got a recovery week coming. Coming with the build 2, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to take a page out of Ben and Mary's handbook, and what they did for the Chicago Marathon just recently was they moved their toughest week, the week with their 35 kilometer long run and all their hardest Kipchoge sessions, they moved that from 3 weeks out from the marathon to 6 weeks out from the marathon. So I'll do my recovery week, and then I'll go straight into that workout just like they did, which will be 6 weeks out. The danger there is that's a pretty big mileage jump overall for the week. you know, a bit of an intensity jump as well. Pretty hard Kipchoge sessions, and then the 35-kilometer long run. So I'm banking and betting that my body can absorb that. After what I'll try to make a really relaxing recovery week. And then I'll finish the rest of that build block as it's prescribed. No, actually, I'll finish it in reverse order. So instead of doing week 1, 2, 3 building, I'll do week 3, 2, 1 in that second build block. So they'll get just incrementally easier as I get to that third week and then go into the 3-week taper. So this is the new experiment. It seemed to work really well for Ben and Mary in Chicago. They both had ginormous PBs, 9 minutes, 10 minutes for each of them. Very big PBs. So I'm going to try that. You know, something else I'm going to do is I'm going to, I feel I've done a fairly decent job carb loading previously, but I'm going to really focus on it this week, similar to the way, not this week, this cycle, similar to the way they did. So that'll be something else that I'll be looking forward to, practicing that a little bit leading up, and then doing that in the last, you know, week, and especially the last 3 days before the marathon. So that's what I've got for you this week. That's build 1 in the very heart of the kind of roughest part of the training cycle. My next status update video I'll do after I do that big week, or as part of that big week. Maybe I'll do it kind of like what I did here, just do little updates through the week when I'm doing the Kipchoge sessions, and then record how the long run goes when I do that big 35-kilometer long run. So I hope you enjoyed the video this week. If you did, please go ahead and like and subscribe, and comment and share if you think that's a good thing to do. And until next time, my Freak Boy runs. Freak Boy out.